Happy rainy Saturday. I'm just waiting for it to stop raining, so maybe I can go knock on some doors today. Wanted to tell you a little bit about something that happened yesterday when I was knocking on doors in the rural ward of St. Stephen. I got to meet my first residents. Lots of enthusiasm, lots of interest. I really appreciated that. Met some people that watched the council meetings, people who are longtime residents of St. Stephen, people who moved here from away and are now settling in. So it was a great experience overall. But one of the last houses I knocked on closer to the end of the afternoon, it was getting quite chilly and the shadows are getting long. A gentleman answered the door and immediately put the screws on me. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, which is kind of like the tenor, the theme of the things that he wanted to talk to me about. And that made me think about, because he asked me, what's your thing? What's your deal? What are you about? And of course, I'm about build up St. Stephen. Of all the messaging that I chose to bring to you and set as my goal after participating and being a part of council meetings for the last 2 years, and really with the passion of a resident who plans to spend the rest of my days here in the municipal district of St. Stephen. As I thought about what it is that our community needs in a mayor, but just needs in a direction right now, and that's why I talk about a clear direction for St. Stephen. I believe that we need to really build up St. Stephen. And this gentleman who opened his door to me yesterday and graciously stood there and talked to me for about 15 minutes in a very friendly verbal joust. Ultimately, this is a very successful person. You might know his name if I mentioned it. And he proceeded to tell me, first of all, that I'll never get elected mayor because I'm not from here, and that remains to be seen. He had opinions about that. But ultimately, the gist of what was wrong with St. Stephen, or what St. Stephen needs right now, is that he basically proceeded to make a litany, a list of all the ways that St. Stephen is failing and actually has no opportunity. He started to say things like, the flake board has 1 foot out the door probably, and Ganong should have left by now. He said, the downtown is absolutely crumbling. No one wants to live within the city. And he said, what do you think St. Stephen's got going for it now? I said, I think it holds immense promise. We need to bring businesses to the industrial park, which has been developed. He said, the industrial park is just a boondoggle. Okay. I said, the hotel is coming. He said, that's not going to do anything for the town at all. I said, well, there's the world's old basketball court. He says, who's going to care about that? Etc. So again, as somebody who moved here in 2018 and sees all the potential and promise and loves living here and is raising kids here, and wants to serve in this public service role, I'm talking to somebody who's lived here for over 70 years, knows all the things about everything. In fact, that was the contrast. He said, you'll never become mayor because you don't know anyone and you don't know anything. And he says, I know everyone and everything. And be that as it may, but the point is, I really believe that St. Stephen is coming into its own, and I guess I don't want to hearken back to the days of yore. That man has seen a lot of things. He's seen St. Stephen in better days, but this is something that I believe it's almost like a zeitgeist. It's a spirit of the time. That is not unique to just St. Stephen. I think we should get a lot of comfort in that. I'm reading a book right now called Strong Towns by Charles Marohn, and it's a fascinating read. If you're looking for something to read, I really encourage you to pick up this book, share ideas with me. There's a podcast called Strong Towns that I listen to, incredible guests. I listen to things like Cross Border Network. I subscribe to Municipal World. I try to tell you kind of the resources and things that I'm reading and learning as I prepare to be your mayor, but also just a very interested resident, which is why whether you're running for council or just a resident, you can really benefit from these resources. But I want to read to you a passage from this that really, I read this this morning, this rainy Saturday morning, thinking about what that gentleman said. That gentleman who seems to have lost all hope in St. Stephen and continues to live here. Again, someone who has a large business, has done very well for himself, but thinks that He said, St. Stephen has nothing. This place has absolutely nothing, which obviously I take exception to, but this man, again, is someone who has seen a lot. And is his opinion valid? Well, I want to read in this book, there's a quote by a gentleman called Paul Stewart. He is the executive director of the Oswego Renaissance Association in New York, an association dedicated to revitalization of Oswego. Listen to this, what he says in this quote. Here it is. Some crisis happened long ago, it says. Some jobs were lost and people left, and people began to lose faith in their community. So people start to think they're not going to be staying around anymore. Then your neighbor down the street decides, I'm not going to paint my house this year because I'm not going to be here much longer, and the community's going downhill. The next neighbor across the street sees what's going on and starts to question their wisdom in investing in their property and in their house, or indeed even in the community. They start to withdraw, and each one of us starts to send a signal to the next person that we're essentially pulling out of our neighborhoods, out of our own cities, financially, but also socially. And that becomes a self-perpetuating cycle, a disinvestment cycle. As people withdraw investment, conditions worsen. As conditions worsen, confidence in the housing market, confidence in your neighborhood drops, which causes further disinvestment, which causes further erosion of confidence. It just keeps cycling. We're basically a community engaged in a bank run on confidence. We have the capacity to revitalize our neighborhoods and communities, but we just don't have the confidence. That to me is so prescient when I knock on a door and I see someone who has invested their whole lives here, lives on a very large property, and has run a business here, a business that still exists, and has that to say about the community. It's a bank run on confidence, to use that analogy. And that's the kind of reason why perceiving this years ago, and as a business owner myself and somebody invested in the community, someone who is on the Rotary Board, someone who's on the Neighborhood Works Board, we need to build up St. Stephen. Now, of course, that doesn't just mean infrastructure, right? So yesterday I talked about the 4 purposes of municipal government, right? Quick refresher, they are good government. They are providing infrastructure and facilities and services. They are providing safety and viability, and they are providing environmental and social and economic development. So those are the 4 as laid out in the Local Governance Act. I have to mention that in every single video. If that is the mission, the very purpose of municipal government, your council and the staff who run it, which is funded essentially over 80%, as I said in our budget discussion yesterday, by property taxes. If that's the mission, then really your local government should be doggedly and is doggedly working towards building up St. Stephen, and that's not just places. That is infrastructure, as you said, and as you heard in the purposes there, that's infrastructure, that's facilities, but that's also services, so that's people. And there's something happening here in St. Stephen that I just want to ring the bell on. It seems that some people's who've lived here for many years, their hearts have been broken over and over again by economic difficulty, by rapid changes and things that are happening. But it's happening everywhere, and I just want to say that it's happening in Oswego. And if you read Strong Towns, you listen to podcasts, and you listen to Cross Border Network or things like that, the needs, the challenges, and even the crises of many cities and towns and rural places like ours are very similar. We're all sharing similar burdens right now. And so building up St. Stephen doesn't just mean, it does mean building those facilities, those places, those maintaining infrastructure and facilities and things like that make our life really great to live here. But we also need to build up people as well. And to me, the way that we can do that, the place to start, is building up that trust that residents have in council. Council making decisions that are very sound, that people understand, which is why I have a 5-phase action plan. And that erosion of confidence that you just heard me quote there in that book, that can start to dissipate as we start to feel that pride in St. Stephen where we live as a result of us building trust in each other. The mayor has a large part to play in you feeling like you can trust council feeling like they can be transparent, and any council that's not transparent really doesn't believe in the decisions they're making. That's at the heart of it. If I'm hiding something from you, it means that I am making decisions that privilege only a few people and cut others out. I don't want you to find something out. And so transparency really does mean, to me, a council very openly able to say, let's create a process that every resident can enter into here, because I want to restore trust, your trust as residents, my trust as a fellow resident, but as mayor, and the council trusting each other and the leadership to protect each other, residents and council, all of us pulling in the same direction as a team, allowing the staff to be able to do the things that we decide together to accomplish the municipal goals. And then you will have that confidence restored and that trust come back into the picture, so you don't have people like this gentleman who are saying, St. Stephen has nothing. The hotel's not going to do anything. The basketball court's not going to do anything. Who cares about the waterfront trail? That kind of thing. I don't just take that and walk away from that door and think, well, maybe he's right. But I understand where he's coming from because of how much he has seen, and that is a result of his lived experience. But if we want to, and this is my mission, I pointed this out to him. I said, I want to lead a council that you can trust so that we can be building up a home that we are proud of, two things that this man absolutely does not have, by sharing an action plan that you understand. And this is clearly someone who doesn't understand what the hotel is going to do, or what the basketball court is going to do, or what the industrial park aims to do, or any of those things. Why we need to revitalize the downtown. And it is incumbent on the mayor to explain those things to residents in a way that we can all understand. And if we are doing something, an action plan that we can understand. It probably is time for me to go over this in detail here in videos, but I am doing that at the doors as best I can. But I just wanted to leave you with this today. If you feel like this gentleman did yesterday, first of all, I'm going to argue with you because obviously I wouldn't be running for mayor if I believed that that was the case in St. Stephen. But here's perhaps more important. I plan, as I said, to live here the rest of my days, which this man actually took exception to. Similar to that quote, he actually said, you're not going to live here the rest of your days. And I said, M2, and he said, M not. And it went on. Like I say, it was a friendly joust with a twinkle in our eye. But I am raising a family here, and my wife love it here, and my wife and I love it here. And I told him, rooting is a matter of choice. You decide if you're going to move. I live right here in Ward 2, right, on Churchill Street behind Tim Hortons, and I'm on a street that's falling apart. But I am deciding to stay here and root here and invest here and be on boards here and work on service clubs and public service. And this is really what I want to leave you with and this gentleman with. If that's how you feel from your lived experience, I get it, I understand it. But first, know that there are many of us who are going to be working against that and working towards making St. Stephen, building up St. Stephen into a place where our places and our people are profitable and we are thriving together. So know that there's people working towards that and you can get on board. But if barring nothing else, know that people like that are going to be running for public office in the next local election. I'm one of them. Look for a council that understands the mission of local government and understands that in the future, we need to build up our people and our places and our profitability together. That is the next chapter for St. Stephen that you can trust and that can thrive. So we are proud of our place and we believe in it and we're confident in it together. All right, friends, hopefully I see you at your door sometime soon. buildupststephen.ca. That is my message. That is my mission. You can check out more of it there. Drop a comment anywhere you're watching this video. Help me make this content. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything, a comment, anything you'd like me to discuss or dive into? I'm super happy to do that as well. And I can't wait to meet you at your door sometime soon. Have a great weekend. And take care of yourself today and your neighbor, and let's build up St. Stephen together.